Howdy, and today is a big day as I restart my reviews of Fuji lenses. Here we go with its quite well respected XF 23mm f1.4 lens, which is available for about $900 or £800, so it's pretty expensive. In full frame terms, considering the 1.5 times crop factor of Fuji's X system cameras, it's your classic fast 35mm lens. The bright maximum aperture of f1.4 lets in tons of light, and in terms of depth of field, that's the full frame equivalent of about f2.2, so it can give noticeably out of focus backgrounds, especially if you move close to your subject. 35mm on full frame is a very nice wide angle, but not so wide that you don't get just a little emphasis on your subject. If I could only have one prime lens, then I'd want it to be this focal length. It's versatile. Bear in mind though that this lens does not have image stabilization. The 23mm f1.4 itself is metallic and tough, weighing in at 300 grams and somewhat large, although still a bit smaller than the equivalent full frame lenses. It's not officially weather sealed, so be careful when shooting in the rain. It has a dedicated aperture ring, like most Fuji X lenses, a feature I really like, and it turns very slightly loosely, I'd say. The focus ring is large, metallic, and has a brilliant little design. It locks firmly in place when pushed forward into autofocus mode, but pull it back and you get into manual focus mode, revealing distance markings to go with the hyperfocal scale. It's still electronically coupled to the focus motor, it just feeds back information about where exactly to focus. I kind of love it, although the distance scale could do with a few more markings. The autofocus motor itself is not particularly fast nor quiet, works accurately enough though, and the noise isn't too intrusive. The lens may focus a little faster than this on more expensive Fuji cameras. It has a front filter size of 72mm and it comes with a rather deep lens hood. Overall, the build quality does feel slightly bulky and the autofocus motor isn't the fastest, but otherwise it's lovely to handle. Okay then, image quality on a 24 megapixel Fuji camera with corrections turned on. At f1.4 in the middle of the image, resolution is quite high, although a little ghosting is visible here. The corners look a bit soft overall. Stop down to f2 for somewhat better contrast and resolution in the corners, and now the middle looks very sharp. Stop down to f2.8 and the middle is perfect. The corners look quite nice now. They stay this sharp down to about f8. Stop down any further and the image will begin getting softer, and by f16 diffraction is already taking its toll. So overall, the lens is always nice and sharp in the middle, although the aperture should be stopped down to f2.8 if you want the best possible image quality, particularly in the corners. Now onto distortion and vignetting. They're automatically corrected in your Fuji camera, although if you shoot in RAW and use certain third-party editing software, you can see what's really going on. The lens seems to be free of barrel distortion, essentially, although at f1.4 the corners are quite dark. Stop down to f2 though and that's pretty much cleared up, and at f2.8 we see even illumination. This lens can focus as closely as 28cm, about average really. Close-up image quality is slightly soft at f1.4, but far sharper when stopped down to f2. Next, how does this lens work against bright light? It's a better performance than average here. Bright light cause some glaring, but not much flaring. Finally, bokeh. At f1.4, this lens can give you somewhat out of focus backgrounds, and those backgrounds nearly always look lovely and soft. Bright points of light can yield a little highlighting, but apart from that, there are no problems. Overall, the Fuji XF 23mm f1.4 is a lovely professional workhorse of a lens, although its quality isn't always sky high. On a 24 megapixel camera, it could perhaps have been a little sharper at f1.4, and the autofocus motor isn't the most modern design. But it certainly has its own character and many optical strengths, and it seems to have many happy Fuji owners, and so it comes recommended.